Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this recap video I'm going to bring you a little something different. So you might say, well, what's a futures trader looking at Texas Instruments for? Well, one of the things that I always love to do is show traders that when you're trading futures during earnings season and heavier weighted names are impacting your indexes, you've got to be aware of them. So I always have lists like this where I have the Dow, the S&P, and the Nas top 25 names. Actually, I have all 30 on the Dow, and I run these through a scanner to make sure every week I know when those heavier weighted names, which could move the indexes, the futures around, are going to have earnings. This is when the tail wags the dog, right? Now, one of the, as you can see here on the Nas, one of the heavier weighted names is TXN, Texas Instruments, and they had earnings today. So two things. One, are the strategies that we use to play earnings? Yes, they're oftentimes the same kind of strategies we use to take advantage of high impact events like central banks and non-farm payroll. On the futures side, we'll do something similar with earnings. So not only am I going to look for possibly Texas Instruments to maybe be a drag on the yen-Q a little bit, but I can simultaneously look for earnings plays on Texas Instruments as well. All right, so TXN, what we did on this, I'm going to walk you through it right now. Did I have an uptrend here? I sure did. Did we exceed the 52-week high? We did not. We check a couple other criteria, but what we do is put on a shock wave put. Ideally, eventually, I'd like to be long Texas Instruments, but my expectation for weakness with earnings, I'm going to look for the market to probably trade down to about 94, maybe 93.5, or maybe 92. Okay, I'm looking at the 13 and 21 EMAs here. So what I'll do is I'll look for an out of the money put with a strike that would represent a potential support zone. I wouldn't go any further out than 92. I think I wouldn't get any closer than 94. All right. And again, what we're looking for is that reaction with the earnings. And then what I'm ideally looking for is tomorrow, I'll probably let the first 15 minutes of the open go by, so about 9:45 a.m. Eastern, I'll start looking at where where the options are being bid at, and I'll look to liquidate these options into the open. So let the first 15 minutes go by, and I'll look to liquidate these options by about the end of the clearing. That's typically what I'll do, unless I see a really good acceleration during the clearing to the downside. You'll be able to see that on the 5-minute chart. If I see a really good acceleration to the downside, then I might only liquidate half my position and keep the other half to see how low is low. And that's the idea there. So again, do futures traders need to respect stocks? Absolutely. Simultaneously, I will look for heavier weighted names to impact the indexes. And by the way, when you take a look at Thursday is going to be huge for a lot of the names. You think about the heavier weighted names affecting the S&P and the Nas. Again, the tail wags the dog, and this time of year, especially this week, you've got to respect those earnings. All right? And if you haven't already checked it out, you can check out a class. John's actually still doing this class, but you can check out the live trading that he's doing. He's live trading these earnings for, I believe, 5 different sessions. So you can see how he plays earnings. I'm just showing you one strategy that I use, and this whole class was dedicated specifically to this time of year. You get 4 fantastic opportunities, and this is one of my favorite times of year because I get to pick up and stay tuned because I'll let you guys know how Texas Instruments ended. But I'll give you another example of the same setup on LMT. Lockheed Martin had the same setup, actually maybe arguably better than Texas Instruments because it was a double top, but same setup. And this is one of my favorite times of year to buy those inexpensive out of the money options, because during these kind of expected moves, it's amazing how often, like today I picked up the Texas Instruments for 32 cents. I certainly will be expecting to liquidate them for much higher tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes, but you know the game plan now, and that's the setup. And again, it's the same setup that I use, same setup I'm using here on TXN, and it also was absolutely applicable to LMT. So take a look at those charts. I'll see you in the next update.